Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. Up next is newspaper review.
All right, time to welcome Chukwudi Abuja to, of course, do his usual. Chukwudi, good morning and good to see you again.
It's time for me to welcome you as well. How are you doing? Good morning. Hello, Demo. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and you?
You look great, actually.
Thank you.
That's not to play down Claire's sartorial outlook. She too is looking simply,
She's welcome back.
Why must
She took a break.
Simply.
I didn't, but I didn't take any break. I was only doing other chores,
It's okay.
Yes.
That's the life of a broadcaster.
I was on the news yesterday, so
we don't complain at all, let alone on the air.
Exactly. But the one is here, I think he's been doing
good to see you again.
Yeah.
Standing in for you.
All right, let's quickly begin with the leadership newspaper. And I'll just begin right from the top of the masthead. It says, alleged terrorism financing, police squeeze Ajero today. And NARD, as the Association of Resident Doctors strike, consultants, nurses overwhelmed, patients stranded. Just below the nameplate, PIA, host communities demand increase of 3% funding allocation. Details of that is on page 4. End killings, kidnapping, banditry now. Can Sultan urge Tinubu? It's on page 4. Diabetic patients panic as drug prices rise by 800%. Comes with 2 riders there. Insulin rises to 26,000 from 3,000. Glucometer 30,000 from 6,000. And someone says, I spend 200,000 monthly to manage his diabetes. And this paper did quite a beautiful graphic of what can be done. The dietary rules, herbal treatment, warning against excess sugar intake, and all this right here on the front page of leadership. 53 killed by floods in Northeast is on page 7. 14.6% of Nigerians abuse drugs, NDLEA, also on page 14. MPOX, who appeals for funding, page 7. And Biafra, FG engaging EU to extradite Simon Ekpa, DHQ. It's on page 7. Demola.
Yeah, thank you, Claire. I have the Blueprint newspaper with me, and above the nameplate, arrest resurgence of killings, abductions. Can NSCIA charged federal government? Details of the story can be found on page 6. Then we have Edo polls. INEC concludes ward PVC collection set for mock accreditation. It's on page 8. Without MSME, 80% Nigerians will be jobless. Shatima planned Tinubu's China trip to attract 3 trillion investment presidency. IMF hinges 3.1% economic growth on reforms. Details of that story, it's on page 8. Then we have 3 years after police destroy recovered cache of arms, IEDs in Niger, or in Niger. Army will defend democracy, Lagbaja assures. Details also on page 8. Cost savings measure strengthens telco service delivery. ICPC inaugurate FIRS anti-corruption unit. On page 20. Amotekun arrest 35-year-old man for defiling minor in Osun. Details on page 14. Be balanced in your reportage of Nigeria. Federal government tells BBC orders. Then we have the picture of the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, visit to the BBC World Office in London, and also the Chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakub, presenting a souvenir to the outgoing European ambassador to Nigeria and ECOWAS. Chooks, over to you.
Thank you, Demola. Let me start on a positive note. The minister is urging foreign media, that's the Minister of Information and National Orientation, urging them to balance their reports about, Nigeria. Because if they don't do that, they tend to create mistrust, lack of trust between government and the people. This is very important for the simple fact that many Nigerians sometimes prefer to listen to news about their country from the lips of people who do not live in Nigeria.
Because they believe they will be very objective.
They'll be objective. They'll be objective, but sometimes too, they miss the point.
Yeah, do.
There's nothing that comes close to the man who is embedded in the community and knows what the situation is. Fine, the BBC with its huge resources, BBC for instance, could say, oh, we have reporters all over the globe and all that, but it's not quite like NTA having people in every nook and cranny of the country. We are in a better position to tell the story. So for me, what the minister is saying is quite important. But for me, what's more important is for us to rise, to occupy our space in terms of disseminating information as well. We can't counter the BBC, Voice of America, Deutsche Welle, CNN, for instance, in terms of muscle and all that. But we can tell our stories in such a way that our credibility is not doubted for 1 minute. So let us be up and doing. The space is now open for everybody, whether you're talking online platforms or straight broadcasting, satellite or terrestrial, whatever it is. Let us not be the ones that are edged out in a competition that we can also robustly establish, make our own points. But the minister's call is quite in order.
Let's look at the night strike again, clips there during the highlights of the morning news. Patients complaining and all that. And Chukwudi, you said something this morning about the population of patients at the public hospitals.
Yes. Yes.
It's not really a good time. Well, there is no good time for anything anyway. For anything
actually
negative.
When I raised it a few days ago, I told Nyere that I practically became a spokesman for the hospital because one elderly man couldn't understand why they were visiting further ailment to the one he brought to the hospital. And I said, Papa, take it easy. When I brought a boy I knocked down some time ago, and I was also exasperated, the nurse said, I have been here for the past 4 days. I've not gone home. I now do the job of 3 people. I looked at this woman. Please, I'm not trying to exaggerate. The hospitals are overwhelmed. Really overwhelmed.
They are overwhelmed.
I don't know if you...
with this ongoing strike
by the resident doctors, that of course aggravates it all.
Yes, making it worse.
And I'm sure, Demola, you probably would have discussed the reasons for the strike.
It's the abduction of one of them.
Yes. And again, when you just oppose that on what is happening, the effect of the... does it balance?
It doesn't quite balance. But then the doctors are trying to make a point. Remember that Indian doctors just a few days ago, their own person was not just sexually assaulted; she was killed, and doctors in India poured out to register their protest. It's been playing out here in Nigeria. No life is secondary or inferior to another life. but sometimes you need to make a point. But 7 days sounds to me like an overkill. It's like killing a fly with a sledgehammer, because you're talking about the abduction of somebody, and by the time you return, your absence from the wards might have caused the death of at least 200 people.
Yeah.
Do you understand it?
Absolutely.
Of course, the senior nurses will step up and all that, because sometimes when you meet some...
They are overwhelmed.
Some matrons, you say, hey, they're also good.
They're
but a
very
doctor
good.
is a doctor.
Yes.
Yes. You know?
Right now they are overwhelmed, and
Yes.
you can. I mean, from the report you saw the patients, they're complaining and appealing, you know, to the abductors to just release the doctor, and so that, I mean, normalcy will return to those.
But again, you begin to also wonder. Maybe I should start by commending the security forces for also helping to rescue the medical students.
Look at the 20.
Yes,
Oh,
the 20.
Very
that
commendable.
It
action.
gave me a real, I mean, I was overwhelmed. I was pleased. I was glad. I was gladdened by the fact that all of them were rescued
Yes.
without hurt. And I'm wondering again, is it not possible to also deploy, such intelligence, and I don't know what to say now,
To rescue others.
Yes,
No,
to
I
rescue
said the other
others.
time, without necessarily denigrating the police force, I said, when the police want to work, they work. But the question you ask is, do they get the result of this kind of special operation? I think that's a major hindrance for them. But when the police want to work, the police know the criminals in town. They do. Yeah.
When they want to work,
they know
is it
them.
that there are times that they don't want to work? Is that what you're
I
saying?
just said now that the resources, the rescue of these medical students, definitely demanded getting out of routine provision
Absolutely.
to making sure that it became a task force 10. That is what the police need all the time.
It wasn't
Do you
only the
understand?
police.
It
it
should be
wasn't
on a
only
steady...
The
Yeah.
DSS
Security,
was
yeah, it's a
was
combined
involved.
Actually,
process.
it's combined.
Yes, it was
But
a combined effort. So not only the police.
But the ones who actually should be charged with that are the police. But we are happy when sister security organizations team up with them, So it is a good thing, or it will be a good thing when the resources provided for this operation is provided on a regular basis, because that would ensure that the police work all the time. I think they're hampered by the fact that sometimes what they need to do this kind of commando...
So they don't have enough logistics.
Yes, that's the point I'm making.
All right.
10,000 small, not smallpox, Mpox, that's good.
Received.
That's
Yes.
good. But to cry for Black Africa, for Black Africa, by now we should be providing those things ourselves.
Nigerian Mayegun, we must also, just before we round up, I'm sure we all remember the name, Nigerian Mayegun. He was the first Nigerian to put us on the medal table at the
Yes.
Olympics, way back in 1960s.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So he passed.
The death.
Yes.
Yeah, I read that up yesterday.
Yes, he
Yeah.
passed, recently, a few days ago. And of course, especially the sporting world, are paying their condolences to his family. And
So may his soul rest in
Yes.
peace.
Should smile into his grave,
Yeah.
because his name is written in the Hall of Fame in gold.
I remember.
And also, we
Balinde-
also have a new coach now.
Hey, yeah, I saw a face that looked youngish.
Bruno Labbadia.
But you see, I'm not too... okay, continue from there. I think we need a shot of patriotism, So since you're smiling,
But it's not
smiling
that-
to the story.
Well, it's just that we've had Nigerian coaches, but then
I
they've
know
not
that's
really,
where he's coming from.
They've not really performed, to the expectation of most of Nigerians. That's why most times we find the foreign coaches, they seem to be better.
There's Demola.
Demola is not Demola.
Demola.
Not Demola.
Demola. No,
If I
don't-
get
sorry,
it and you call me
sorry,
Big
it's-
Badger.
Sorry,
don't
I know it's
fortify my
Demola.
name.
Maybe it's
Demola.
Okay, Claire.
sorry. I just want to say this.
Abdul Razak.
Just to add before
listen to that.
you round up, just to add that it's not that the Nigerian coaches are not efficient. It's not.
What's the problem? What's the challenge?
Keshi tried, but after Keshi, who else can you say tried to measure up to the Bomfred Joes and Westerhoff of this world?
You talk about resources. The resources that are placed at the feet of the foreign coaches. It's not the same that you give to the.
Are you sure? Apart from their remuneration,
how do you know? Yes.
Apart from their remuneration?
Apart from the remuneration. You go and investigate. Yes, go ahead.
You need to clear this.
No, that's true.
I think we should steer away from speculative journalism.
I'm not speculating. Go and check.
Okay, Chooks. Let's just
thank you so much.
Let's thank you for this session. Yeah. Thank you once again.
I hit you below the belt there.
We'll see you tomorrow. All right, we'll take a break now. Good Morning Nigeria continues. Stay with us.